Hey,
Hi, Anna.
how are you doing?
Okay.
Hi.
How are you guys tonight? Hi, Jeff.
Just find yourself.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, there's our fearless leader. Okay.
Uh, I'm glad Jeff never gives you a hard time or anything, Stephen.
Who, me?
You should see him when you're not around, Becky.
Oh my.
I thought I would show everybody a funny thing I saw on a job site in Amherst. Let me zoom in on this. This is a kitchen bar sink, the plumbing. Let me see if I can get this close to the camera. It's they made the connection with a funnel and tinfoil.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The one I like is, those flexible
Yeah.
things.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some of the gyrations that you see the people. So Frank McGinn is, I don't know if I'll say he's stuck in New York doing a pottery thing and he doesn't have internet, so he won't be joining us. We could wait a minute or two for Steve.
Let me check on Steve. And how about minutes?
Well, we won't have minutes for this meeting. You mean for who's going to take the minutes? But this is recorded, so Frank can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what Frank said in his emails, that he'd watch the recorded.
It's so awesome.
I know.
I mean,
It doubles his work.
I do take, some
And we know
notes, but not a lot. Pardon?
Jeff also takes good minutes, but shh, I didn't say that. Shh.
Like Kelly does.
He did for
I'm sure Jeff would like to take minutes.
Well, you got that one wrong too.
All right, so where is Steve?
How many do we need? How many do we need for a quorum?
We have a quorum.
You're good
Okay.
with 3.
Okay.
3 of 5 is majority.
Okay.
I haven't seen Steve today. All right, I'm gonna call as well. He's on his way. He's 3 minutes away, and I guess there was a text that didn't get to me. But anyway, he's coming in 3 minutes.
While we're waiting, Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Okay, I'll do my best to answer it.
Oh, you'll do a magnificent job here. When do you want to replace the insulation on those lines for the mini split?
That was actually one of the questions I had for this evening. When do you want to do it?
Will I do it next? What's the weather going to be next week?
Well, that tells you next week it always changes, Jeff.
See, currently,
Oh, it's sunny and in the 60s.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday, partly sunny, high of 68. Tuesday, cloudy, high of 61. Wednesday, partly sunny, I have 62. Thursday, 40% chance of rain.
Not a single day matched mine.
Really?
Not a single one. I have rain,
This-
you have sunshine, and you have sunshine when I have rain.
What do you have for Monday?
Sunshine, 61.
Well, I have partly sunny, 68.
Let's do it Monday.
Let me just see. I don't. Okay. What time you want to?
10 o'clock?
Okay. Start at town hall.
Yeah. Are we gonna need a ladder?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'll have my telescoping 12.5 foot ladder, but I don't think we'll need a ladder. It's only outside that we need to worry about it. The insulation shouldn't have deteriorated inside.
Okay.
I have a new call to emergency. The town clerk's afraid to go in the old town hall because she thinks the door's gonna not shut or not open or fall off. The
Which
old
door?
town clerk, that would be Leslie.
The front door?
The front door to Old Town Hall. Remember, we had a problem with it and it's still not functioning very well.
Well, as I remember, there are two doors, correct?
Yep, that fit together.
And the door that is pinned to the door sill, you don't want to try and open that one.
Right. That has the stem down.
Right. So I would like to think that you should be able to open the door that the key will work in without a problem.
I'll go experience it myself, but she was too nervous to go. Yeah, we decided it'd be better for her to try to open it during the daytime because having it unsecured overnight was unacceptable.
Correct.
So if we try to look at it on Monday,
That'd
do we need a key?
Yep, I have a key.
What if you're not there?
Grace has a key.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I think Bob Groves has a key. Maybe I should get that back.
Good idea.
Maybe he doesn't, but I think it just triggered a memory. I better follow up on.
Well, I'm sure Steve will be here soon, but why don't I call this meeting to order at 5:38? And we're absent Mr. McGinn. And Steve Sullivan is on his way. So no minutes to review. Becky, anything about the bid results for the school for the project?
Yes, the select board voted to accept the Santos bid as recommended by the evaluation done by Gale. And I have sent them a letter of award and am finishing up the contract to send them out tomorrow or Friday.
And I forget, what was the their bid?
$100,001.
Oh, that's right.
Did you ever send out to all of us the latest or most up-to-date bid documents that had the corrected dates?
Because
Because I don't think I ever got them.
I didn't have them till I downloaded them. I mean, no, I did have them. I sent, well, not the full set. I had sent them off to Cole, And so he submitted them. I do have them downloaded now and I can forward to you, but they're, yeah, because you can't go on bid docs.
Right.
I think it's crazy. I think you can go on bid docs.
Well, if you could send those to us, so we have the
I
correct
can have-
dates and the information.
Yep, because the dates all changed when we were pushing it
Right.
forward.
In a building committee, we needed to determine who's going to be reviewing the submissions.
What do you mean by submissions?
Well, the contractor is going to be sending us documentation on the paints and basically all the materials. And we have to review those and tell them whether they meet the specs or not. That's typically what the engineer would do if we hired them for the construction phase.
Yeah, I was underlining the different submissions that are required.
Yeah, and we need to talk to the contractor about schedule of values, things like that.
So we need a pre-construction meeting scheduled.
Yes. Another reason I want to get the complete set of documents so we can
Yeah.
go through there and determine what the contractor is supposed to be getting us.
Yeah, and the date was pushed up to, I think, June 17th or something. It was, we did have to wait till school is over. But that still gives them 2 full months.
Meaning they couldn't start before the 17th of June.
Right.
Now it's the 18th because of that last snow day. They pushed it back another day.
Yeah.
Jeff, I would be willing to work on that with you.
Yeah,
You
that's fine.
Oh, it's June 24th. I'm sorry.
Oh, June 24th?
Yes.
And we're going to be reviewing the submissions from the contractor, is that correct?
Yeah, we need to review those, and we also need to review the schedule of values, the construction schedule.
Hi, Steve.
And are you okay with us doing that stuff? You want to jump in here and do this exciting work?
Sure. It probably just sort of depends on the timing of it all. I think that's sort of been my challenge is my availability compared to yours. So if I can, I will, but I wouldn't want to hold up the show on account of my schedule.
Yeah, that was a diplomatic answer. Good.
That I don't know, I'm getting better with that. No, but honestly, I'm happy to do it. Just
If we run into any problems, we'll let you know.
okay,
How's
sure,
that?
sure.
You can be the official tiebreaker, just in
Right.
case something happens and Stephen and Jeff don't agree. I know
Okay.
it's never happened before.
Never happened.
Yep, you're the tiebreaker.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
But we just got an email from Cole.
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, I haven't read it yet. Okay.
Well, so on Monday, this would be, so I think we've finished with the elementary school for now.
Yep.
So on Monday, the roofer was supposed to come back and do the gutter repairs. Supposed to get there between 10 and 12. I arrived at 10 or slightly before. Steve Sullivan can attest to that. And roofer wasn't there. And so Steve and I chatted for a while, talked about some things like grading issues and other things around the outside of the school. And then I went to the fire department. Len was there, so I did a little more inspecting and went back to the school, maybe 11-ish, checked, roofer wasn't there. Went back to the fire department again for a while, came back at 12 o'clock, roofer still wasn't there. Hung around for another 15 minutes, but I went to the back of the school, the south side, and I was looking at that seam that totally failed. You remember, Jeff, where the pop rivets had pulled out?
Yes.
And I looked up there, and it looked like there were 3 new pop rivets because they weren't color matched. They were just aluminum. So I got my 12.5-foot telescoping ladder, which allowed me to lean it against one of the bump outs. And I was able to get up there and look inside of that gutter. And I could see that somebody had already put the EPDM on all the gutter joints. But I couldn't really see that they had done any kind of expansion joint, where the damage was. And Cole, I saw an email he just sent, because I sent him one earlier today. I copied you, Becky, and I think you too, Jeff,
Mhm.
on it, and saying I didn't see, a expansion joint. And his response was that the roofer completed the work on Monday. Maybe different Mondays, I don't know. But if he did, he was there and left before 10 o'clock.
Or he was there for a brief period when you were at the fire station.
I
Because
don't think they could have.
they drive to the back, don't they?
Yeah, I always drove around to the back and looked for
Oh, okay.
vehicles.
Oh, Steve,
Well, let me back up. The first time I was there and Steve and I were walking around, I looked up at that gutter joint and those pop rivets were there then. That was at 10 o'clock or 10:15. So they did not. Are you confirming what I said?
I was talking to the neighbors who live on the corner of the entrance.
Oh, right, yeah.
And she was saying that on Sunday, there was a truck or two with ladders around the building.
There you
No.
go.
So that would be who that was. I was wondering who it was, so that would be it.
Okay.
Well, did Cole respond to your question about the expansion joint?
I forwarded that to you, Jeff. Well, Becky, do you have it on
right here.
yes, you can read it to us.
It says, "Hi, Stephen. When we spoke with Mike regarding these issues with the gutters, we indicated that, oh no, that's yours. No, that's his. Okay, sorry. We indicated that both the south elevation and courtyard gutter joints needed to be covered with EPDM and that they needed to install an expansion joint on the south elevation gutter. We had also asked him to coordinate his visit with you so all parties would be on the same page. I received an email from him Tuesday morning saying the EPDM repairs and expansion joint had been completed on Monday. Do you have any additional photos of the gutter? Thank you, Cole."
I sent him the 3 photos I took. No, I don't have any other. I'll respond to him, but
yeah.
So I'll tell him that a neighbor saw trucks there Sunday and they weren't there on Monday.
Yeah, she said it stood out because they had ladders.
Yeah.
Too bad somebody didn't give you a call, so you weren't wasting your time on Monday for 2 hours back and forth.
Right.
I mean, just as courtesy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they should have let us know so we'd have the option to come and take a look at what they're doing while they're doing it. And
That's-
tell them that you're not putting an expansion joint there. Okay.
So Stephen, so they did not put in the expansion joint? Is that what you've seen?
I don't think there's an expansion joint, you know, because I didn't see any indication, you know, I didn't look closely, but I didn't see any other non-matching pop rivets, which probably would have been installed if they had put an expansion joint somewhere else. So I'll respond to Cole and say, you know, one, a neighbor saw trucks with ladders on Sunday, which is probably when they did their repairs because they were not there on Monday.
You know, it would have been better if they put the EPDM and didn't put the pop rivets back in that one joint. It would then act like an expansion joint.
Right. Yeah.
Because the EPDM would let it grow and shrink.
Yeah.
You know, if worse comes to worse, you and I will go drill them out.
Is that the first picture, the 6 rivets in the first picture that you?
Yeah. Well, the one problem, Jeff, is I don't know what they did at the back side of the gutter because that also had been pop riveted.
Oh. Okay.
And that's all, you know, everything's covered now.
Yeah.
With the EPDM.
Even this first photo?
The first photo, that's the one that you can see the pop rivets, correct?
Yep.
The second photo shows the inside. I think it shows the inside of that particular gutter joint. And then the third one looks down the gutter and you can see other black.
Yeah.
So I have to go and see if they did the ones in the interior court. Because if they went on Sunday, I mean, they could take a ladder up onto the roof, cross the roof, and go down into the courtyard.
Ah,
But that's how they'd have to do it.
oh boy.
So when I mentioned this to Jeff yesterday evening, we had a library building committee meeting. I said, I was pretty disappointed, and Jeff said he considers it typical.
Well, it's, yeah. Oh boy.
I mean, I get it. It's hard to coordinate schedules and things change, you know, on someone else's end and
Right.
they just get there when they get there. But it's like the phone call is,
Right,
it's so hard for some people. And also it's so easy to just pick up the phone,
right,
you know, just,
yeah,
I have the same challenge. Hey, call me when you're on your way. And the call is like, I'm here. It's like, okay, well,
Right.
you gotta wait for me, you know, just,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can
it's never
appreciate
ending.
that. Hey, we can go on Sunday. Let's do this.
Just get it done. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Pick up Becky's number because before, after I was there, I waited till Tuesday because Becky was off Monday, and I called her first thing and I said, "Did you get any kind of email or anything from the roofer telling you that they had a change in plans?" Okay, so moving on. So Bert Fernandez, who's on the Historic Commission, called me about the gazebo project.
What project?
So, the signboard that's under renovation or restoration.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the Historic Commission is thinking that because, they're spending a lot of money on this, they'd like it to weather well. So they're talking about building, he's referring to it as a gazebo, some kind of protective roof structure, if you will,
Mhm.
over the signboard so it doesn't take weather directly.
I I don't think the select board voted that piece of the project, but I better go back to the minutes.
Well, I think you're right, because in talking with him, I told him that I asked him if this had been approved by the select board. And apparently they're still working on their plans, of what this is going to look like. And so they have to get that together and get it to select board to approve it. But then I told him, if they get approval, then they
Well,
need,
they also need money.
well,
right?
I mean, I agree. But maybe they have some,
This is
Gotcha.
not a project that would come out of your funding. I don't
No.
see it as, because it's not maintenance and
correct,
Also not a
repair.
building.
And it's not a building, yeah.
right. Well, and I think about it from a historical perspective. I mean, here's this piece of history, and normally it just sits out in the weather, and all of a sudden you want to build a structure over it. I find it kind of odd.
And if you, like, there's another one very similar to it in Montague. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and I think they've just painted over 3 sides of it recently. It
It
looks
good.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't spend $17,000 or $20,000 to send it to the Berkshires to have the paint chips analyzed. But that's what they've spent most of their money. They've
Yeah.
already committed, so I'm not sure how they're gonna, where the other funding's coming from. But
Right.
just so they're aware of their financial situation, that's.
Right. But I told him that, let's assume that somehow they find money and the select board approves it. I said that they would then need to come to us, because in my mind, once they erect that, isn't that then a town structure that we would be responsible for?
Oh,
Yeah.
So then, we could weigh in on material choices and maybe even, details of how they're doing it. So that it's not a item that needs repair in the short term. So he's aware of that.
Good. That's good. You guys can maintain communication, then everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So they asked the highway superintendent what the highway superintendent thought about whether it was going to affect traffic at the stop sign. And the highway superintendent said he didn't believe that it would, but they didn't ask me what I thought about it personally. And I would have said, it's not a very good idea. It's going to detract from the actual signpost.
Yeah.
And it's going to detract from the war memorial that's there too.
Yeah.
But they didn't ask me. They asked the highway superintendent about the traffic. And so what I did was I sent that email off to the police department because they hadn't seen it yet. So they have a copy of it now too.
Yeah, because they are concerned with traffic.
Well, I
traffic.
would also like to think that before the select board would approve something like that, I mean, I guess I almost would think you'd want the community to vote on that, because it really does change the look of the signboard. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you, Hannah?
Oh, no, I was making a sarcastic comment about traffic in Shutesbury.
Oh,
Just like, really? Traffic? Like,
We have a stop sign. We have.
you have a stop sign.
You wanna see traffic? Go out on the road with a piece of equipment, all of a sudden
sure,
40 cars
you're right.
cruising by.
Sure. It's like the one person going slow up the S curves is the traffic. I guess I feel like anytime I've been involved even just as a another person in the audience on like sign approvals, there's always a concern of traffic, or any project, no matter what, it's always a question of traffic. So it just, does it.
Well, they had $19,500. They've committed to over 17,000. for this project. So I'm just uncertain of, I guess they do have another account with $3,000 in it. But still, that gazebo.
Is
might-
their budget our concern? You know what I mean? Like if is that something we should even really worry about? Is it kind of their deal to manage?
It is their deal, but if they start construction, I just have to let them know that, remind them how much money there is.
Gotcha.
Because, yeah, it's not a group that normally does construction projects. Or has a clue how
Has
much.
anyone seen the plans? Because if you haven't, I'll forward everyone the email that has the drawings for it.
Oh,
Yeah,
how
we-
old is this email?
Oh, probably 2 months.
Oh, that's interesting because I spoke to Bert Fernandez since our last meeting. And his indication to me, I thought, was that they still didn't have their plans for this. So
Oh,
yeah,
no,
we could-
no, they have plans, all right, buddy. I'll forward them to everybody.
yeah,
Thank
please
you.
do.
Hmm. And I apologize, back to the gutters and Mike Construction. Did we
Mhm.
decide on next steps?
Next step,
Yeah.
I'm going to respond to Cole and tell him that a neighbor saw trucks with ladders there on Sunday. Um, that there's no way the roofers were there on Monday. And I did not see anything suggesting an expansion joint. So we need clarification. Well, maybe I'll also ask Cole if he provided a detail for that. You think that would be a good idea, Jeff?
Yeah, you already did ask him that. Who's in your email?
He didn't answer when he responded.
No.
Okay. Well, I will reiterate that. Um,
I think the answer is no,
so do I.
because he babbled out, you have to follow smack now.
Can you
Well,
say-
then, pardon?
What did Jeff just say?
Cole
Okay.
said that they have to follow SMACNA, SMACNA, which is basically the Sheet Metal Institute. Their approved details. But then when I read the spec, because I went back and looked, and the spec never said that. So I'm not convinced.
Never-
I'm not convinced.
Never said that they had to follow the SMACA.
Right.
And there was no detail, and there was no mention that I remember in the docs from Gale that they had put an expansion joint in.
Correct.
Okay.
I
Um,
just, Stephen, I
ahead.
just wanted to propose, if we're gonna talk to Mike again, I have Peter's contact cell phone number. And that maybe if we want them to come back out, I'll set up the appointment and make sure they communicate when they're in town.
Well, does it make sense for me to first respond to Cole?
Yeah.
I would respond to Cole first.
Yeah, definitely.
then-
I'm just saying, proceeding from there, have Cole set it up, but I'll make sure to touch base and call
I
Peter and make
Gotcha.
sure that they can't just, we need to know when they're here.
Well, they were here Monday, as they said in their email.
Sunday, Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the dam keeper's roof.
So did
Becky, did you find out anything from the engineer?
I got a name of who to call to test for the asbestos.
Okay. I think I mentioned it at last meeting that Russ Wilson, I talked to him about that roof, and he is willing to work on replacing it. And last week at some point, he texted me and he said, "What about going over it, just going, not stripping anything off, but going over it and putting I think he's talking about one of the a metal roof on, which, the metal that you can purchase from places like Home Depot and Lowe's. And he said he's done that a lot. He just puts strapping onto the existing roof, and then puts the metal on. And I assume he has a detail for kind of closing it off, so you're not looking under it. So I guess that would eliminate tearing off the felt paper for sure.
Yeah, but I think we still better we better get an asbestos check first.
Okay.
Because technically, to put down the strapping, you have to use some kind of a fastener through the felt.
Right. Yeah.
And just to make sure everybody's aware whether that's hot or not. And same with the mastic. Usually it's the mastic too.
I can just take a backpack blower and blow all the shingles right off.
You mean the ones that are left?
And I don't know if I'd get the roof at Home Depot or at Lowe's. I just bought a metal roof from Amherst Farmer Supply.
That's what I was gonna say. That I bet that's where Russ goes too, would be to
Probably, yeah.
I think you're gonna get a better roof.
Yeah. Well, I guess,
Yeah, I
so
would
let's
agree.
let's assume there's no asbestos. What's everyone's thoughts about going over it and putting a metal roof on?
I think it's a good idea, but
Yeah,
it's not free. But yeah,
Well, if Russ is willing to do the work, or do a lot of the work, then all we've got is the materials.
right. That's
And
that's the not free part. Yeah.
I understand,
what's
but
the how big is the roof? Like, can just
Like
if we can
8 by
get,
10?
yeah, I'm thinking there'd be no seams. Like we can get full panels from
oh
Richie,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah,
Well, you can get full panel each side,
yeah,
but we're gonna need
yeah,
a ridge and eaves and fascia and all that happy
Sure.
nonsense.
yeah.
Yep. So I think
But
it's a good
there's
idea.
only room for one roofer at a time on the roof.
Yeah.
is there actually room for a roofer on the roof?
Depends what size they are.
I think only a
Yeah,
small
you have to
person.
straddle it.
Right.
Are you not
I had
required
already,
fall protection because you're so close to the ground?
well, I had already sent Russ a photo of the side of the shed that's close to the lake edge, because there's only, I don't think there's more than 2 feet of concrete width. So he already, less than that, Steve? So there's very little space, and Russ already had an idea about how to do some scaffolding.
Yeah, I think it's great. The only downside is like at some point after we're all dead, someone's gonna replace that metal roof, and whatever we bury is somebody else's job to eventually strip and replace. But given the lifespan of the metal, I'd go for it.
I'll be gone.
Yeah, yeah. This
So
recorded
Becky, so
thing
you
might not
need
be.
get this asbestos.
Yep, I'll
Person.
call him now. I wasn't, because I talked to them, but I wasn't certain of how fast we were proceeding, so I'll schedule it now. And right away.
I have a question related back to the school. Did we ever get the underground drains resolved?
No, we're waiting on, now the ball got passed to Steve to buy the big snake.
Well, that and I've got my catch basin cleaner coming sometime in May. And because he could do some of that.
Okay,
That'd be great.
And if I remember correctly, wasn't I supposed to look up the snakes that I found that were 200 feet for you, Steve?
Yes, but I can't afford to spend $1,000.
Oh,
on
okay.
it.
Got it.
$1,000 for what?
The snake.
A snake. The ones that I saw when I was looking that would go 200 feet were $1,000 or more.
Just for the snake or the machine and the snake?
The machine and the snake.
Oh. Why can't we buy it?
You could.
Maybe school choice funds could buy it.
You don't. go there.
School choice.
Oh,
Yeah. This is not a good year for school funding already. That would be a bad thing. I guess we could. I mean, if the principal decided to do that. Or the superintendent or school committee, but
Well, why don't we have Steve, have your guy who's coming out to look at the drains, if he can't get it open, then again, can't we buy the snake and give it to the highway department to do the work?
yep,
It's only $1,000.
So is it a vacuum truck? Is that how you refer to it, Steve?
Yes, that's correct.
So
He
when
could-
when they deal with a drain, clogged drain, are they vacuuming, trying to suck it out, or do they have a snake?
He can do either vacuum it out or he can do the high pressure hose and blow it the other way too. I'd ask him if he had a snake.
So when he's what's his normal fee?
Oh, it would just roll right into the hourly rate for the catch basins in town. Because I don't do every single one of them every year. Only if they have 18 inches or more material in them.
And his hourly fee? Do you know what that is roughly?
It's probably 285 or 325 an hour.
Well, I can look again at snakes, and we can talk about it, and we can see how the vacuum truck does.
So you're looking at snakes and the machine connected to the snake?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I don't think I saw any that it wasn't the machine that had a snake that would go a I think the snake is part of the machine.
Yeah, once you got to 100 feet, the bulk of them had the machine with the snake.
okay. I guess to me, if we could buy it, then the town has a snake that they can use for years and years and years. For other drains that
Right.
and the clog up.
Steve, do you have a place to store it?
At the highway department.
Highway
Yeah,
department? Yeah.
yeah,
that's what he's getting increased storage at this annual town meeting, so vote for it.
perhaps I'll be getting more storage.
Yes. Yeah, because if they spend 3 hours working on it, Steve, we're already $1,000 in.
point.
Agreed. So Stephen, you're gonna look into a new toy?
Into the new toy, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, one last thing before we go to the accelerated stretch code discussion.
Can I go back to it real quick? Do you
Yeah.
have a place you're buying that, or is there, just wondering if there's like an avenue we can get it with a discount through? I don't know, where, do you have a place you're planning to get it?
Well, I was just looking online and
Okay.
looking to see what's available. So no, I have no thoughts on where to go. And, if we find something, and maybe there are local places to call as well, but
Okay.
I was
Well, let me know what
starting.
you find out. I don't know if it's too complicated, if it's a municipal purchase to then try to funnel it through some other,
Mhm.
account with a discount, but maybe let me know what
Yeah.
you find out, we could see.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You may want to check Fastenal, which is there's they've got places all over the country, but a lot of times I would get stuff like that at UMass through them.
Mm-hmm. Fastenal.
I think that's what they're called.
Okay.
So Anna, were you thinking about using your contractor's discount? Whether that's
Yeah, if it was possible, but I don't know if that's even, once I said it out loud, I wasn't sure if that complicates things in terms of how you pay, and if that's even like an avenue that we could channel the purchase through an account, a discounted account, or if that's just kind of a non-starter.
Yeah, that would mean we'd have to reimburse you, right? Your company.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd bill you and get it. I don't, yeah, which I mean, then we'd pass along at cost if I could do that. Like if that's all kosher, if there's a path for that.
Yep.
I'll
I'll double check with the accountant. I think
Okay.
it might work, yeah. Because
Okay.
basically contractors do that to us all the time, but they add the markup.
Okay.
Mhm.
We wouldn't
Now,
do
when the
that.
contractor does it to you, or does the town pay, well, maybe the first question is, does the contractor pay tax on the purchase?
No.
I think if I have that ST6 or ST whatever it is form, ST there, yeah, it's close. Yeah, then it's tax exempt.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll inquire
Okay,
Okay.
great.
with the financial officers.
So Jeff, several months ago, I think you had found a slate roofer who you talked to about the roof leak at the library.
Oh, yeah.
And
Don't
what I
ask
remember
me.
was when the weather improved, then
Yeah, I forgot his name. Hannah, you were familiar with the guy, right?
Mitch Hawkins, maybe?
Where's he from? Deerfield or something?
Deerfield, I think.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, Mitch, sole proprietor. Yeah, South Deerfield.
Yeah. So you want me to give him a call, see if I can set up a meeting with him?
yeah, if you're
So
comfortable
we'll have-
doing that.
Okay.
Okay, stretch code.
So Becky, what are you looking from us in regards to the stretch code?
I'm just looking for a perspective that isn't just about climate change. That's because I know when we first brought the stretch code to Shutesbury, there were at least some builders that were against it and had big concerns. So I just would like to have some conversations to try to flesh out, the common understanding of it right now is that, yeah, the standards will get rid of anything that isn't electric potentially, and to reduce, no fossil fuels.
Well,
Will
I
be
didn't necessarily
paying
get
for.
that.
No, neither
What?
did I.
Well, good. Then let's hear what you got.
Well, first, to do a very thorough review of that, you have to have a copy of the old code. Because a lot of it is, change paragraph such and such by adding this sentence. Well, I don't know what the hell the rest of the paragraph is. But what I saw was they're pushing, which I think is a good idea. They're a HERS appropriate HERS rating, and you have to hire a consultant to help you get through that process. Which
Yeah.
if I were building a house, I would do that anyways. What I don't know is a lot of equipment, they have identified new coefficients of performance and other criteria that I don't know whether that's super tough or not that tough or not. Overall, it's a code to improve energy performance. But I can't tell by reviewing that how many hoops you really have to go through.
I
Anna,
guess,
what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I basically agree because we've bumped into like little questions like that as well, where like we're not putting in like crappy windows on any job. We're buying a Marvin or an Anderson dual pane, blah, blah, blah. And I've had a couple windows. It was on a house where we were doing SDLs, simulated divided light with the spacer bar, trying to be historically accurate. And the U value was, 0.01 off of what it needed to be, which like it's like, yeah, it's because of the grills and the whatever. So now we're pitting, the as historically accurate as possible with modern stuff against the performance, and we're down to the, 100th or, of a point. And it, was I remember this because we caught it at the last second. We were like, I was doing kind of a last once over of the contract docs. I went like, oh, there's a problem with this. And so I think that's just an example of what Jeff's trying to say is like all the improvements I think philosophically make sense, but it's all, the minutia and the manufacturing isn't happening locally. A lot of this stuff is worldwide, nationwide, worldwide. So hard to know if the thing you've been buying all along that was good before is technically still good.
Did you happen to look at the HERS level that they want you to attain?
No, and I was just trying to scroll for that.
No, I got it right here.
Yeah.
On a mixed fuel building,
Right.
it goes from 52
yeah, to
to
40.
42. That's the maximum score. And on an all electric building, it goes from 55 to 45.
Mhm.
So, the way I sort of read this is you're basically having to tighten up your building,
Yeah.
possibly put in more insulation. And if you go with a mixed fuel building, for instance, you could put in a gas water heater, but in a new construction, you have to first you have to size your electrical service to make the house all electric, even though it's not. And then you have to also, at the time of construction, put in an electrical receptacle for a heat pump water heater if you have a gas water heater. If you put in a gas stove, gas, natural or propane, you got to put in an electrical receptacle for an electric stove. And same thing if you put in say, a high efficiency gas furnace, you still have to put in the box outside for a mini split or heat pump. I did read where they talk about on the heat pumps, the minimum SEER would be 16, which 16 is not that high. I mean, I think a lot of the new mini splits are well past that. But as Anna said, they're going to be issues, and it's going to make. Oh, you also have to put in a EV charging station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten some pushback on that from some clients. I mean, obviously, many people are wanting that anyway, so it's kind
Right.
of neutral. But definitely a push, especially when you're just getting out into the weeds
Right.
trying to shave your budget down, and someone's like, I
Right.
don't have an electric car, I don't want to pay for
Right.
that now. What if things
Right.
change in the future?
Right.
So yeah, I kind of get it.
Yeah, so they're not ruling out fossil fuel, but if you put in the fossil fuel, you have to be ready to put in the electrical components to become all electric.
So you have to make sure the house is ready for installation of all electric.
Yeah, so for instance, if you did a small house and you had, you know, propane or natural gas, water heater, uh, stove, oven, dryer, and furnace, you could probably get away with 100 amps of electrical service. That's what used to be common years ago. But now, say the same house, you'd have to go to at least, you'd have to have 200 because you have to provide for all these electrical items possibly down the line.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a real slippery slope to 400. Like it really doesn't, when you do that
Yeah,
calculation. I mean, we're building a 1 bedroom house right now. Granted,
yeah,
it's a fancy 1 bedroom with 2-car garage and lots
right,
of fancy stuff, but it's all electric. And there's the EV charger, there is a hot tub, and there was something else, but it's like we're right on the brink of needing 400, you know. So it's really, it's like the calling it
Wow.
a 1 bedroom is almost like a misnomer in terms of the
right.
electrical calculations.
400
What's
amps.
the circuit size for an EV charger? The 30 amp 240 or
I,
is it
I thought it was at
40?
50. I don't know. I thought it was, I would have said 50, but I'm not positive.
I
I
think
could
they
I
said,
mean, I have
look it
no
up.
idea.
I think they said 50 amp in that
I,
document.
that's what I want to say is 50. I mean, I was just looking up a couple houses we built in the last couple years where the clients had no energy goals at all, other than like they wanted to be comfortable, but they
Right,
weren't like seeking any kind of special approvals or whatnot. And so like I would call this somewhat standard construction, like loose cellulose in an attic, dense pack, you know, 2x6 walls, dense pack, no continuous insulation. And in both of these basements, we did rigid foam on the inside of the foundation walls and under the slab. So, you know, that's
right,
better than normal, but not, you
right.
know, nothing too wild. And one of them, that hers rating was 42. And I'm just looking up the other one, but you know, so I'm just saying someone doing kind of like base, you know, kind of, I guess what I would consider like nothing special in terms of
Right.
good, but like you're not trying to meet or exceed any kind of, you know, passive house or any kind of standard system.
Yeah,
Um,
so if they hit
you
42,
know,
they're at the new what the new code would
mhm,
require.
yeah, yep. Yeah, and
And
this
if you
was
do all electric, you only have to be 45.
right. And like we're careful with like air sealing and we go
Yeah,
around and like it's not that we're doing nothing. It's just, you know, we weren't doing like continuous insulation on the outside. We don't have double thick walls. Like we didn't we kind of took standard and made it really good instead of
right.
standard plus.
So, Anna, other than that situation with the historic window, have
Mhm.
you had any other situations where the energy codes have been an issue for you?
Only in regards to the calculations and service, and we were having trouble getting like electric meters for a while. So some
Ah,
of that stuff kind of works itself out as you know people solve that. The concern that's come up is how it's, I think this is my personal opinion, is these things are a lot more achievable in the new construction world and get real thorny real quick when you're doing additions and renovations, because where is that line? And we have a lot of really old homes. So if you have somebody with their 1790s cape and we put an addition on it, that's still, it's an expense, you know, the additions are expensive, but if we have to retrofit, you know, a 1700s, 1800s construction to meet today's code, like that's a whole different animal. There's been a lot of, you know, concern, well, you know, pearl clutching about like, what's that going to mean for these clients? Is that going to be possible? Or is it gonna like kill certain types of projects because it's gonna force you to upgrade a house and do a major renovation you might not be looking to do, or might be impractical given, you know, old construction systems.
I didn't,
Anna, for the houses that you're building, you typically hire a HERS rater?
Yeah, we have to. So we need to do the on paper analysis for the permit app,
Yeah.
and then the blower door at the end, you know, and the final HERS rating. I always though, that's like the minimum, and then I always have them come usually twice during construction to do a blower door, like pre-installation and post-installation,
And
or
then,
pre-installation and pre-drywall to kind of check and double check.
right, and they run the computer analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever that, I forget the name of that computer report.
The
Yeah.
ResNet.
Jeff, when we built our house in 2018, we had to, you know, go through the process. I mean, I don't remember what the requirement was for our HERS rating, but we had, you know, we had to achieve a score, and
Mhm.
um, you know, we were going above standard things. Like I was, based on readings that I've been doing for years, I saw that it was important to have the rigid insulation on the exterior,
Mhm.
as well as, I mean, we did two by six framing with dense packed cellulose. Um, and, you know, we had blower door, and I don't know if there was more than one, but I know there was one. And, you know, we got an HRV. So, you know, in 2018, there was a standard. And Anna, you'd know better, probably even I don't know when that came into effect, but
The first time I did a house where we had to get a HERS, we're required to, I think it was in 2012.
mhm.
I
And
think
it
we,
was sort of like, we were like, I don't know, you know, I hope this goes well. Like, you know, we got good results in the end, but we didn't really know what we were gonna get until we were at, you know, the day before the final inspection.
wow, yeah.
But it was fine, yeah.
I think
So,
they took effect in
I-
2010.
well, I agree on improving the quality of the houses. I can't sit here and say that I endorse this program yet because I just don't know enough about these requirements.
And I think that's, yeah, because they're untested at this point, and the practical, yeah, the practical result or what people will have to do to achieve them is uncertain.
Well, I think it's more, in my case, it's just my knowledge level
Yeah.
isn't there to know whether these requirements are easy or difficult or unrealistic.
I could give another kind of small example is like if the way to meet the insulation code on a wall, the 2x6 with dense pack still needs, you know, an inch of continuous insulation. That will throw off the standard extension jams that you can buy
Right.
with windows, you know, your 4 and 9/16 and your 6 and 9. And so maybe, you know, the standard just needs to change. The standard was based on typical wall construction, and if now the typical wall is going to be different, that will change. But in the interim, in this moment, it's like, okay, well, then we're not going to pay for extension jams. We're going to rip them on site and do them ourselves. And that will probably cost more because labor is more than buying them from the factory that way. So it's like, it's a, you know, it's a level 2 problem. You know what I mean? It's a problem we didn't have before, but it's pretty, you know, manageable, solvable, just costs a little more. And maybe the whole industry kind of shifts to match at some point.
So are you saying, Anna, that you, like your Marvin window, you can't buy a extension jam for that with the additional wall thickness?
You can, but it's the difference of like a standard extension jam costs one thing and then custom costs something else. And doing no extension jam, no factory extension, and do it yourself on site is its own cost. So it was easy. It was easy to just be, you know, get the window with a 6 and 9/16 jam and you put it in and you're ready to
Right.
case it. In theory, you know, you're ready to case it, where this is another step. So it's like, again, it's a totally solvable problem. It just takes a little more time and more cost.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been hearing, that there will be added costs. And the one concern the select board brought up was, you know, in Shutesbury, whenever we have a power outage, it's the wood stove that keeps you going. It's the propane oven that, propane stove that you can light. It's all these things that are gonna be not really allowed for in the new system. So, and to have them, like you saw, you have to pay for both. And new construction and to some extent on renovation. So, how much of a burden will that be? We don't know.
Nope. I think the only thing
That's a
we
good
can,
point.
I think we can all agree on, it will cost more to build.
Right.
And that's the point that did not come out when the energy committee kind of talked about. It did come out some, but I think it's just one of those things with this, it has all the feel good, we're doing the right thing, address climate change. But at the same time, we just want to acknowledge the bigger picture that
Mhm.
to achieve that, you're asking the residents of your town to pay more. And that's what I hope is also part of the picture and discussion, not that, it might discourage some people from supporting it and it might not discourage some people, but I think the facts need to be out there, that's all.
Mhm.
Well, one thing to consider is if you build to this new code, you're going to have a house that when you lose power, it doesn't cool down, in the winter very quickly. Because we've lost power a couple of times, and when it was pretty cold. And I remember one time it was out maybe close to 24 hours, and we only lost 5 or 6 degrees of temperature. So we're able to. I have a portable generator that I run with propane if I need it. And I had the electrician put in the sub panel with the transfer switches for that. And the only thing that we really need is our refrigerator, our well pump, our internet, and a couple of receptacles. And we have a couple of, fluid filled radiators if we need some heat, but we don't, we don't need a lot of heat because we're not losing a lot of heat. Plus, if we need some, the insulation keeps it, so to speak. We
And
don't have a wood stove.
Yeah, well, there was also some concern whether, propane or diesel generators will be available or allowed. And that kind of, if that becomes an issue, because this code will continue to update automatically through 2050. And this is the only opportunity the town will have to decide to opt in, and then there'll be continuous changes until 2050. And that's why I just want people to be aware of what they're agreeing to, because you can't back out once the town has made that vote. And there was talk of fines and other things, but you did not see any of that in what you reviewed, right?
And
No, I didn't see anything
Yeah.
of what I looked through.
No, there's talk of there being fines for,
I didn't see anything,
good.
but I didn't read all 84 pages either.
I will admit I didn't go through the commercial because I thought there's not a lot of commercial building going on in Shutesbury.
What do you recall the fines? Like, was on the scale of like hundreds or thousands or 10,000s?
It sounded like it could be significant, like if you were to, okay, say Shutesbury passed it and then a contractor builds a house to the standards he used in 2010 or 2015. I think that's why I've heard there's fines, but I haven't found them myself. That's why I'm inquiring, but I think that was going to be treated as, then you would have to enforce either removal of all the fossil fuel elements or add in all the electrical on top, and therefore doubling, the cost of your house. So it might be that they can just force you to install all the electric, even if you have all the other. But I'll keep digging on that one, see if I can find it.
Just curious, because I could see that being just another division in the financial stratas of like, if you're wealthy enough, you just pay your fine and get what you
Right.
want. You want the thing, you want that nice gas stove, gas fireplace with the remote control, and you're willing to pay for it, and it just, you know what I mean? It's only a deterrent to the people who can't afford to buy their way out.
Right, and that's, yeah. And we tend to be a town that's not as wealthy as our neighbors.
So I guess then if you couldn't have a propane or gasoline generator, whether it's, one of these larger ones that's a whole house, you'd have to have a battery power wall,
Mhm.
pretty large battery power wall.
Or else,
Because if you want to run your electric stove and I mean a heat pump, water heater, and just everything else. I mean, you'd need a huge, I mean, and if you were without power for 5 days, I can't imagine that you'd have a battery power wall that could support your house for 5 days.
Yeah, and even at this, I don't know if it's changed recently, but PV Squared was taking a pause on battery and recommending battery installations while regulations caught up. They didn't think it was a proper time for people to be putting them in.
Hmm.
So there's, that element.
Yeah. And I mean, they're not small.
No, and there's a bunch of requirements for fire separation, the space that they need, it needs to be conditioned. So it's I've had people want that or request that, and then they don't realize like how much space you need. You need a whole room, oftentimes it's like, 7 by 10 or, it's a pretty decent sized
Yeah.
space that you have to protect and separate. And it's not just like, oh, we'll throw some batteries up on the wall of the basement, and you put them in a garage, but then you got to protect them, protect them from impact. So it's not uncomplicated.
Right. Well, the one other thing that we didn't, that I just thought of that was in there was if you're, I don't know if it's required that you build with a orientation to be able to have solar, or if it's just that when you site the house, if there was a 70% something, if there's excessive shading, we'll say, then you don't have to have solar.
citing requirements. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. And will anybody be at town meeting on the 27th? Will you guys be there?
I think we're intending on going.
Good.
I'll be
And
there
that's
for
at the
part.
school, right?
Yes, it's at the school.
I'll be there for a part. I'm solo with my kids, so they're not going to sit there for 8 hours. But I'm
We're
gonna try.
hoping to have it less than 8 hours, but it's
Okay, just feels like 8 hours.
well, yeah, we got it to 30 warrant articles this time.
Okay,
It's all up to the regional school, how long it goes.
got it.
It could be smooth, but it could be a blow up. We don't even know yet. That's what's the crazy thing. We have a 4-town meeting with Amherst, Pelham, and Leverett on Saturday. So we'll see what happens.
Fun.
Okay, I see it's 6:43. I was thinking, looking to see if anybody wants to make a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor, Cook,
Aye.
Quackenbush,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Delmas, aye. Thank you, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.
Good night.
Aye.
See you on Monday, Jeff.
Yep.
Bye, Becky.
Bye, Stephen. Bye, Jeff. Bye, Stephen. Stephen, it's May 1st, right? The next meeting?
If that's 2 weeks, that's when it is.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.